We've tried to fit as many conventions of a music video as possible in 2 hours. For example, in the top right, as you can see, we've used a fade-in of the artist name and the song name, and we've also chosen to stick to the convention of having both a male and female protagonist, which is often used in music videos. We've also stick to the convention of having a narrative throughout, and we've tried to use this narrative and fit it to the lyrics. In this case, it's been somebody who wants to be a model, and in turn it's messing her life up as she deals with drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and she's uncomfortable in herself, which relates to these scenes where she's taking shots. We've also been conventional in having a happy ending, which, as dark as this video might seem and stressful as the video might seem, it actually isn't, and we wanted to make it a little bit happier at the end, just to please our target audience and make them enjoy the video more. However, we've tried to stick in some ways so that it isn't a conventional video, because we didn't want it to be exactly like all the rest. We've done this by purposely not putting the video in a sequential order. It keeps jumping to the present, to the past. Some scenes are just generally mixed up, because we wanted to have the effect of confusion to the. We wanted to add confusion to our target audience and the consumer, and we didn't want them to understand thoroughly what was going on, because that's obviously the effect that you often get through drugs and alcohol. We've also not kept it conventional because we've used flashbacks and put these in black and white. Here's a flashback that you can see now, but also as well as it being in black and white, you'd often get it's often a connotation that black and white would be meaning sophistication. However, in this sense, you can see quite obviously it isn't sophisticated, and there is obviously problems going on, and it's therefore not a usual convention and a twist that we added to our music video to get the right kind of effect. I do believe that our music video is very effective, mainly because of its narrative. Through our target audience, we did find that a narrative is what they wanted most. But also we trialled our actors before using them in the music video to make sure that they are what we wanted and they fit to our genre of music, and that they worked well together. And I think that you can see in the final product that they do work very well together and they do fit our type of what we wanted. Also, the song that we've chosen, we did choose it to fit our target audience, and I think that makes it really effective as well, because through our target audience research we found that that is the sort of song we wanted, so that is the sort of song that we chose, and it does make it effective. So obviously we did try and relate it back to our audience feedback as much as possible. We also used a range of effects from flashbacks, slow motion, reverse effects, wind effects. There's a slow motion. There's a lot going on. There's fade-ins, fade-outs, black-ins, blackouts. There's a lot going on with them, and I think that by using these it gives the right sort of impression to the audience, but it also makes them more aware of the storyline. Although we tried to make it confusing because of the effects of drugs and alcohol, I think it also made it quite aware of what was going on as well, and I think it's very effective. I do think that my ancillary was very effective as well, because I tried to stick to it how it was unconventional. I tried to follow it through as much as possible. In my ancillary, I do have a model again, which relates to this, because these are two models rather than having the actual artist. And I chose to do that again in my ancillary, in which case I did have a model, and it was a very unconventional pose. It looked very strange, and I think that it does relate to the use of drugs and alcohol, especially with the connotation of colour that I used. I do think that it fits well. I also, on my ancillary, I stretched her eyes and I reversed them, so it had a very vacant expression, which I think is another effect you can get when taking drugs, and I do think it has connotations of drug taking in it. And for that reason, I do think that it's very effective in what I wanted to say. From my audience research and feedback, I think that I tried to put to it as much as possible. I found out that the most popular sort of music was indie, and from that, after trial and error of a few different songs, we chose to stick to indie, because not only did it fit our audience research, but it fit the sort of music video we had in mind, and I think it gave the audience exactly what they wanted. Not only that, but we've also used narrative, which was also one of the most popular results in from what we wanted, or what the audience wanted. We've also chose to use actors rather than the artist, because again, that is what was most popular from our results that we got back. Another question that was put to our audience when there was given a range of answers was what made it watchable to them, and they said that as well as the narrative, they liked different sort of shots, different sort of colours, and we did try and use that as much as possible to keep the story alive and to keep them interested. As for new media technologies in the construction, research, production and evaluation, I think there's countless to name, to be honest. In the research, we did we varied, and we tried to research as much as possible into the consumption of music video. For example, Spotify, LimeWire and YouTube, as they are one of the ways that our target audience choose to consume music videos. We also used questionnaires, and we put them in a PowerPoint which can be watched online. And so generally, I think that the new technologies mean that we can thoroughly get a lot more of what we wanted before, and we can what we wouldn't have had before, we could get now. In the ancillary, we used new technologies in the construction. We used cameras to take the pictures, the high definition cameras. We used a program called Adobe Photoshop. This was very effective in we could really put forward our creative ideas, and we could ensure that we could get exactly what we wanted and make it fit into the industry. I think especially mine, it wouldn't have been possible without the new technologies that we've got today. I used changes of colour, I put contrast in, I stretched the eyes, I removed the eyes at one point, as you can see. I put them back on, I laid them over the top. I pretty much did as much as possible to get the effect that I wanted, and I really do think that it's effective, and without it you wouldn't get what you've got now. As for the construction, I think it's quite obvious. Here we've got black and white, which is something that we wouldn't have got. We did originally use Adobe Premiere Elements 8 to edit our films, but due to technical difficulties we did move to Vegas Movie Studio, which is made by Sony, and I do think that it is very effective. We use slow motion a lot. Slow motion has the connotations of life slowing down, which is one of the effects that you can get through drug and alcohol abuse. However, we changed the connotation of it towards the end, in that we had slow motion right towards the end, but in this time it was slowed down because it felt that they were happy and that life was slow to them, and that they was just happy with it generally, and I think that the audience do get that. Here again we've used black and white to get a feel for the flashbacks. We then added an effect called wind. This is particularly effective, and I think it stands out a lot in displaying the drug abuse that she has, because it does have the effect, obviously, of when she's on drugs. This bit we have used a lot of fade-ins, fade-outs, black-ins and blackouts. It makes a smoother transition when going into each scene, but also sometimes it seems as though it's melting together a bit more, rather than the sharp jumps from shots that we've used previously. It melts a bit more, it makes it seem more comfortable to the eyes and makes it more comfortable for the audience to watch. So this is particularly used in shots towards the end because it's a happier scene. We've used repetition a lot. I think this obviously wouldn't have been possible otherwise without this piece of software, but yeah, we've used repetition a lot because it really gives the effect of what we wanted. It really it just, with repetition we could make it clear, and we could really emphasise what we wanted. We've used several different types of shots. In one point we've managed to zoom in on the actual shot after filming. We have managed to zoom in, which I think is it's difficult to do, but it's made it so that we could put our video together better. One shot in particular that I really liked is the use of shots that we did, actual physical shots. We actually sped this up and repeated it to fit the drum beat, so it brings the music back into it, so it's not totally focused on the video. And I do think that it's very effective. Following this, we did choose to use slow motion when she is putting the shot down. It shows the effect after it looks like she's taken so many shots. I think this is particularly effective again in displaying the cross between the speeding up and the slowing down, and also it really does give the effect of how she's feeling. One of the things that we was able to do with the new technologies was that we was able to put two shots together, because we only had access to one camera, but we was able to, for example, the stairs shot, that was taken twice, one from the top and one from the bottom, and we think that through editing like this we could put the two shots together, and it was really effective in the end in making a smooth transition in parts that we didn't want to be rough. But generally, due to the new technologies that we had, it meant that we could get all these creative effects that we wanted, and I think that without it we wouldn't be able to have done what we did, and we wouldn't have the final product that we do now, which is obviously very effective. But yeah, but thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.